right, welcome everyone. This is a very special video today because I am joined by my friend and colleague, Amanda Slinger, sleep coach and founder of Sleep Spot. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us today.
Hi, Nishi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation.
So am I, and I'm really excited to talk about sleep coaching and actionable tips that people can take to improve their sleep. So I'd love to just start by hearing a little bit about yourself and what a sleep coach does and why you became so interested in this field.
Fantastic. Well, a sleep coach, I'm certainly not a baby sleep coach. When people ask me, what do you do? And I say a sleep coach, they immediately think of a baby sleep coach, but I'm an adult sleep coach, and I also really focus on women, so women in leadership. And a sleep coach is really someone who helps you optimize your sleep. And there are lots of different approaches to what a sleep coach does. But what I do, I really guide people to their goals around their productivity and performance, and using their sleep-wake cycle to optimize their daytime alertness and their depth of their sleep. So yeah, that's really what I do. Yeah.
So what kinds of people do you work with primarily as a sleep coach?
I work with anybody. I certainly wouldn't turn anyone away. And it's interesting that I've recently been getting quite a few men coming to talk to me about their sleep. And that's where I started my sleep coaching, was with men. But where I really love to work is in the space of women in leadership. So really helping them to work through some of the challenges that women are facing when they're perhaps coming into perimenopause, menopause. They're sort of struggling with their energy and making sure that they're really on top of their game and they're hitting all the goals that they need to keep hitting.
I think that's such an important aspect to address because, as we know, sleep is so intimately linked to performance and focus and productivity, and of course, overall health, and is especially important as we go through perimenopause and menopause. I can't emphasize enough how much sleep is a foundation of health. So it's wonderful to hear that you're doing this kind of work. And I know you've spoken a lot about the importance of the 10 before 10. So could you just share with our audience a little bit about what that is and why that's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and something I have to keep reminding myself is what I know about sleep. Not everybody knows about sleep. So, and it's interesting. I think whatever occupation you're in, it's like, don't assume everybody knows what you know. So for me, the 10 before 10 is really optimizing your circadian rhythm by exposing your eyes to sunlight before 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm really drawing on the work of Andrew Huberman and also Matthew Walker in this area. And it's really, and other people as well. It's really looking at, the impact of sunlight on your melanopsin cells and what that does to bring you into a greater sense of alertness. So in the daytime, you get a burst of cortisol, a burst of adrenaline, and it also sets a timer 12 to 14 hours later for your release of cortisol, release of melatonin, which of course is helping us to fall asleep. So 10 minutes of sunlight. I live in Australia, so we're blessed with lots of sunshine. If you're in the UK or somewhere where it's a bit darker, you probably need more 20 minutes. But sunlight is the really important thing here. It's not so much, the light within an office. And of course, you can get there eventually, but the amount of sunlight, amount of light entering your eyes from sunlight is so much more powerful. Of course, I'm not talking about going and looking directly at the sun. And for people in Australia, and I think also where you are, Nishi, we get into this habit of walking outside and putting our sunglasses on. It's like this, I put my jacket on and I put my sunglasses on, regardless of whether it's a really bright sunny day or if the sun's in our eyes. And that's just reducing the amount of sunlight that's entering our eyes. So yeah, it's really about getting outside before 10 o'clock in the morning. And after 10 o'clock, you're not really going to have a big impact on the things that I'm talking about. So, my son, for example, who's 13, I am like, a Nazi every morning, get outside and get your 10 minutes. And, he might go outside and he might have his cup of tea out there for 5 minutes. And then just before he gets on the bus, he might go and shoot some hoops for another 5 minutes. But, it's all building up for that 10 minutes of sunlight, because what we're all doing, and even him as a 13-year-old, they go into a classroom, I go into an office, and we're inside that office, or we're in a car or a bus traveling. And of course, all those surfaces are deflecting the amount of sunlight that we're actually getting into our eyes. We're getting some, but not as much as if we would have gone outside. So yeah, we're not getting the sun exposure. And of course, it's all about mood. It's it's dopamine. It's all of those wonderful feel-good drugs too. So yeah, I can talk for a long time about importance of sunlight.
I know that we're both on the same page when it comes to the importance of sun exposure and regulating the circadian rhythm. And I think this is something that people often forget about, is how powerful light can be and how it really has a direct impact on our body rhythms. So I love how you simplify that by, calling it your 10 before 10. And I mean, this is one thing that I love to do as well. I go out on my deck every morning and I get what I call my sun power first thing in the morning to help me wake up. Great for the mood and great for setting your sleep-wake cycle, as you just described. So one question that I get a lot from people is, how do I know if I'm getting enough sleep? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite questions, Nishi, and likewise, it is the most commonly asked questions. How do I know if I'm getting enough sleep? And for many of the women that I speak with, and also the men, they're all now looking at sleep trackers. So they've got their Fitbit, they've got their Apple Watch, their Oura Ring, whatever it might be. And whilst these devices can capture so many, different data points, metrics around what you're doing in your day, heart rate, variability, all sorts of things, they're still a long way behind, as you would know, in terms of determining how well we have slept. I've got an Apple Watch, I've got an Oura Ring. The results in one night might be very, very different from both devices. There are some pluses to it, but for me, I always go back to the basics of, you are the best person to determine if you're sleepy enough. And there is a caveat to that, because of course our brains are very good at just getting used to the new normal. If we have, say, 2 or 3 bad nights sleep, third or fourth day, we're starting to actually, I believe, feel, oh, okay, this is all right, I'm okay. We kid ourselves, but it's about making sure that you know how you'll feel when you wake up. So could I easily hit the snooze button? Could I sleep in? Am I feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning? Am I leaning on coffee? Do I need to reach for a coffee first thing in the morning? And I really encourage people to push that first coffee out to at least 9, 10 o'clock, when your hunger hormone is starting to rise, and you're actually going to get a really good benefit from that. But yes, are you sleepy enough, or am I sleeping enough? It comes down to how are you performing? Are you moody? Are you irritable? Is your productivity and performance dropping? Are you forgetting things? Have you got brain fog? There's so many symptoms for, and not just insomnia, but for, the whole staying up late, the bedtime procrastination, just not getting enough sleep. And then there's a whole, what is enough sleep? Is it enough sleep to survive or thrive? Of course, for you and I, it's about enough sleep to thrive in life. And enough sleep, people think about enough as in how long I've slept and how many hours I've slept for. And I most of what I work on is taking that away from people, because their reluctance to focus on their sleep is, and you probably get this too, is she's just going to tell me that I need to give something up to have more sleep. Like, she's going to say I need another hour of sleep. That's not going to happen, So whilst we always need to make sure that we're getting a long enough sleep, I feel that it's about optimizing the time. Like, start by optimizing the time that you've got available for sleep already, and really focusing in on that. So yeah, it's am I sleepy enough? There's so much to that question.
And I think what you described about really paying attention to how you feel is so important, because oftentimes people get really fixated on the number, like I got 6.5 hours, or I got 7 hours, or I only got 5.5. And the number is important, as we know, but how you feel is even more important. And so many of us are walking around sleep deprived and we don't even realize it, because as you said, it kind of becomes your baseline. And so I think that's great to really focus in on how you're feeling, how you're performing, how you're functioning, how's your mood. And doing so, paying attention to yourself in that way is also going to help you optimize other aspects of your life beyond sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, am I sleeping enough? The question itself is loaded around hours, and, sleep, hopefully more and more people are realizing that sleep is not just about the hours. It's about continuity, regularity, depth, priority. There's so many other aspects to sleep.
So could you say a little bit more about that? Like, how do you know if you're getting good quality sleep in addition to getting enough sleep?
Yeah, so the quality sleep piece for me, and there's lots of different theories around it, but the 5 that I work on are sleep regularity, duration, depth, continuity, and priority. So when we're looking at duration, and again, I try and focus away from duration, because people get very hung up on that and quite anxious about, am I sleeping enough hours? And I will always encourage people to sleep more, but it's not the focus of the work that I do. Regularity is really the key piece. It's going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. And whilst we need to enjoy our lives, and who doesn't love a good sleeping on the weekend? And we can't deny that. We've got to, what I call, move into a sleep-wake flow. And for me, that's all about optimizing your sleep-wake cycle, but making sure that it sits into your lifestyle. So, we could easily do that, but just really focus on our lifestyle and forget about our sleep. But if we are really focused on, what are the superpowers of sleep? And these are the things I teach in my Blissful Sleep Blueprint is, it's about educating people. What are the superpowers that I'm potentially missing out on with regular quality sleep? What are the mission criticals, which are those 5 things I just talked about: the duration, regularity, continuity. What have I missed there? Depth and priority. So when people know those things, when they know that that they've got these amazing superpowers that they can tap into, and elite athletes, these are the things that they're now looking at to get that extra edge on their performance. On game day, sleep is possibly the thing that's going to be the difference between a win and a lose. So yeah, making sure that people know about, what are the superpowers, what is involved. Of course, there's a lot of sleep hygiene. I'm not talking about that. And it's not fluff. That's really important stuff. But what are those things that are the basis of a really good quality sleep? So if I'm going to bed at the same time and waking up every day, if I'm getting, the duration that I need, and then I'm getting my sleep in the right window, so I'm getting good deep sleep and I'm getting good REM sleep. So if I go to bed, say 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm waking up late, I won't get the deep sleep that I really need. I might get the REM sleep, but I might not get the deep sleep. So it's knowing all those little factors, and it's all pretty simple stuff. Well, it's simple to me, but a lot of people don't know all this. And so it's not like you need to read an entire book. It doesn't mean that you've got to spend weeks or even days doing a sleep course. They're, as you know, they're really simple things that we need to understand. And then it's really having a reality check. We all kid ourselves how well we're sleeping. And one of the things about tracking sleep is that itself is a reality check. If you keep a sleep diary, so going back to your question about how do I know if I'm getting a good night's sleep? I track it. I keep a journal of my sleep, and I don't do it all the time. It's when I know that I'm sort of probably pushing the edge, staying up too late, I'll start to track my sleep. So going back to that and having a reality check on where I'm actually at. How many hours am I getting a night? What time did I go to bed last night and last Tuesday night and last Wednesday night? Is it creeping? And there are some tools. I've got a tool that I've built, which it's all the sleep quizzes, I think, they're not going to give you an answer for you. It's so personal. There's so many variables involved. But what the quiz that I've developed does, it just highlights those important things. And it's a time for self-reflection on, am I suffering from social jet lag? Am I sleeping on the weekend? And I think that's really important for people. just to get a better understanding about where you're at currently with your sleep, and be honest with yourself.
And as you said, really make it a priority. And you mentioned bedtime procrastination earlier. And I know for those of us who are entrepreneurs or busy professionals, or if you've got kids or you just have a lot going on in your life, sleep is usually the first thing to go. It often becomes the last priority. But as you said, it kind of sleep gives us superpowers, and it's so important. So can you tell us a little bit about bedtime procrastination and maybe some strategies to manage that?
Yeah, bedtime procrastination is a really big one and I'm sure it's a big one for many people, but again, the people I see are mostly women, and we're juggling work, we're juggling family, we're juggling exercise, we're juggling our diets, we're juggling all these different things, and we're constantly wanting to put more and more into every day. So our waking hours are just cram-packed full. There's so many aspects to this conversation. And I'm sure men are doing this. I don't want to exclude men from this conversation, but, my focus is women, so I'm sorry. So women are doing all these things, and they're leaving very little time for themselves. So they might go for go to the gym, but me time in terms of just being quiet with yourself and allowing the thoughts that are constantly being pushed off to the side to come in and bubble to the surface and be aired and considered. Because, when we get to the evening, and I'm really guilty of this, and I have been, and it's a constant work in progress for me, and I think that's why I always talk about it. And it's getting into the evening, and I love what I do. I've got 2 other businesses that I've been running. Apart from SleepSpot, I've got a global risk management business and also an online training business. So I've always got some really exciting stuff to work on. So once I've, fed the family and they're off doing their things, I'll go back to my laptop, and it'll be a case of, just be, another half an hour, and then I'll join you on the couch. And before I know it, it's 11 o'clock, and I lift my head up and everybody's long gone to bed. And this is not an unusual story, the one I'm explaining about myself. Or if I do go and join my partner on the couch, I might just keep binging, so that, I've finally got some time to myself, and now I'm just going to watch more and more television and just keep watching it. And before you know it, bedtime's arriving, and bedtime's well and truly gone. Midnight's arriving, and you setting your alarm for the morning and realizing that you're only going to get 6 hours sleep. So, bedtime procrastination. There's this element, revenge, and I know we've had conversations about it, the revenge of bedtime procrastination. I think that's more around the couch time. That's where I finally got some time to myself, whereas I like to talk more about just bedtime procrastination. And it's it's that wonderful children's book, which isn't really a children's book, Get the F to Sleep. And and I've got a resource in my sleep library around that too for adults, and it's understanding what you're doing. It's putting a name on it. It is bedtime procrastination. And it's just going back to that same piece that I spoke about before, understanding the superpowers of sleep and what you need to look at to get those superpowers, the regularity, depth, all those things we just talked about. So if you're going to be working till 11 o'clock at night, you're not going to be tapping into those superpowers. And as we age, we really need to be tapping into these superpowers more and more if we want to be at the same level that we've been working at, or if we want to be, leveling up in whatever area we're working in.
That's such a great explanation of bedtime procrastination. And again, it comes back to making sleep a priority. And
it does.
And recognizing that it affects every aspect of life.
It does. And it's like anything. I'll make exercise a priority, make diet a priority. It's easier said than done. So that's why I always go back to that education piece.
So Amanda, one thing I'd really love to hear about, and I don't think I've heard too much about this story yet, is why you became a sleep coach.
Oh, okay. I started my career as a nurse, a registered nurse here in Australia, and I was working in remote communities as sister in charge at a district hospital. Absolutely loved it. I loved all the emergency work. I loved helping people, and sleep coaching has really brought me hugely full circle back to that. But I went from working as a registered nurse to occupational health and safety. And I was working as an occupational health nurse in the mining and exploration industries in remote mining communities here in Western Australia. And this is going back 20 years. So we were looking at how we could reduce accidents and fatalities. And there was a big piece around fatigue management. And fatigue management back then was really around extended working hours. So, rosters and hours and shift length. And it was really interesting and amazing work. But I was seeing a lot of men coming into the clinic and coming to see me as the occupational health nurse on the mine site with anxiety, with depression, with insomnia. And I just started to, and I was helping them with those issues. And I started to realize that there was a bigger piece to this puzzle, and it was around sleep. So I started to dive into the science of sleep, and I loved it. Of course, with my medical background in nursing, I loved everything I looked at. And also I was looking at, vitamin D deficiency. I was looking at these guys who were going underground, and they would wake up, they'd wake up to go to work, say, for example, on a night shift. They'd wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. They'd have meal in the mess. So they'd jump on the bus, go straight underground. They would spend the entire night underground. And then they would spend the entire day sleeping. They would never see sunlight. So I was really interested in vitamin D deficiency. And then I looked at the exposure to sunlight and its impact on sleep. So this is 20 years ago. So I was so interested in it. But my journey sort of took me more into the risk space. So I launched a business, Industrial Safe, and moved into enterprise and strategic and operational risk. And that's where I've been working for the last 20 years. I still do a bit of work in that. And so over those years, I've been still interested in sleep and helping people with their sleep. So I've been doing it in the background, sort of in the closet. And it was last year, I just realized how many people's lives I was transforming with the conversations, simply having conversations. And I've already mentioned Matthew Walker and Andrew Huberman and the work that they're doing. And they've got these great platforms. They've got podcasts and they've got books, and they're doing amazing work educating people. But this is what I've been doing for 20 years. And so it's not new educating people, but it's so powerful what they're doing because they've got these enormous platforms. And I just thought, right, well, look, I could be helping a lot more women in situations like me. And I've had my sleep issues over the years. I did work shift work. I was a nurse. I worked night shift. I worked fly in, fly out on mine sites and had enormous social jet lag associated with that. Young mum, one of my favourite stories is when my son was a baby and we brought in a baby sleep whisperer, and she said to us, she asked us, do you think your baby's happy? And we're like, absolutely, he's a really happy baby, but it keeps waking up for feeds during the night. And she said, well, if you think he's happy now, just wait till he sleeps through the night and you will have a different baby. And I thought, that's not possible. Oh my God, she was so right. And I tell people that story because we do forget, going back to what we were talking about earlier, Nishi, was people forget how amazing they can feel with a great night's sleep. So, I had issues with, as many young parents do, waking up. And then I had a staff of 30 people with the 2 businesses I was running, and I had a lot of anxiety at night. So I really had some issues, not falling asleep, but waking up, and my brain just wouldn't turn off. So again, I dived back into the sleep science and what could work. And then when I thought I was through it all, along came perimenopause, and that's been a real challenge with sweats in the nighttime. So I think I'm in a good position to be coaching women about sleep.
Absolutely.
Just why did I get into it? I realized I was transforming lives and I wanted to transform more lives, and just feeling that passion again about helping people. I was a nurse years ago, and I feel like that's really where my future is focusing on sleep coaching.
And this is such a great time to go into sleep coaching and to really start sharing this knowledge, because there's much more awareness now about the importance of sleep than there was even just a few years ago. Even like 10 years ago, there was this notion that, oh, I'll just sleep when I'm dead. I don't have time for sleep. But people are now starting to understand how fundamental sleep really is to their performance and overall well-being. So what are some of your favorite tips as a sleep coach and as a health professional and as an entrepreneur? What are some of the things that you do to help yourself sleep well?
Yeah, I am not perfect. And I think that's one of the things that I love to tell women is don't think that sleep is ever going to be perfect. And my sleep is certainly not perfect. I'm always dialing things up, always working on different things. For me, I hate to say it, but alcohol. By cutting out alcohol, and not that I have, but the nights that I don't drink, or the days that I don't drink, I should say, because even an afternoon drink, I think it impacts my sleep. Alcohol, without a doubt, is the biggest killer, and the killer of REM sleep, which is where we unpack all our emotions and decouple all the silly associations. And yeah, that's a really important thing for our emotional well-being. So alcohol, 10 before 10, so sunlight early in the morning is one of the things that I really I lean on every single day. I never miss it. Always leaning on it. And I try and couple my 10 before 10 with my exercise. So, again, trying to fit too many things in my day, but where I can, I sort of, look for opportunities, synergistic relationships with things. So exercise and sleep, well, I know they're going to both, boost my circadian rhythm. So they're the two things. The one, alcohol and bedtime procrastination, they're the two things for me, which I have to constantly work on. So they're the things that they're my biggest things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you just hit on one of those things that people don't really want to hear about. But the reality is that alcohol, it can help people fall asleep faster sometimes, but it does have a really negative impact on sleep quality. And it's going to make you more tired. And like you said, it's going to cause sleep disruption and disrupt that REM sleep. So I think that's a really simple but very powerful and effective change to make to optimize your sleep quality.
It is. And the other thing with alcohol is, we do tend to, drink alcohol to help unwind. It does. It helps us unwind. And there are other things that we can do. We have to work on it, though. Alcohol's just out of a bottle, and it's easy that's an easy one to unwind. So to find something different to unwind takes a bit of effort. But if you're serious about your performance and showing up as your best self and, waking up to your true potential, you've got to do these things. You've got to put a little bit of time into learning how to, exercise your parasympathetic muscles and not drink every night and do other things to get to bed, because alcohol really it's a killer. It's a sedative. It's not, sleep's not a sedative. Sedation's not a sleep. It's so much more. And that REM sleep, missing out on REM sleep. Wow. Who doesn't love to dream?
Right. Yes. Yes. And so one thing that I'm really passionate about is helping educate other physicians and healthcare professionals about the importance of sleep. Because in the United States, at least in medical schools, they only spend about 2 to 4 hours on average on sleep education. Yet, as we've been discussing, sleep is so fundamental to overall health. So you're a sleep coach, you've worked in healthcare as a nurse, and you've worked in risk management. And so you've worn all these different hats. So what would you like to share with any physicians or healthcare professionals out there who are listening as far as how they can support their patients with achieving optimal sleep?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. And I also just wanted to say that, when people have sleep issues, a sleep coach is not always the solution. A doctor is often the solution. So if you have any concerns that you might be suffering from sleep apnea or some sleep disorder like that, you need to go and see a medical sleep professional. You have to go and see them. And just to rule out sleep apnea or something like that. But yeah, the GPs, we call them GPs here in Australia. Do you call them? Yeah, GPs, yeah, general practitioners. They do such a wonderful job, and they have to cover so many different modalities and areas of health. And as you said, they don't cover sleep for very much in the US, and I'm not sure what the situation here is in Australia. I would hope it was more than that. But yeah, sleep is just not in the conversation when you go and see a GP. And of course, there probably are GPs out there who are going, I talk about sleep. So yeah, I really hope that there are more GPs who bring sleep into the conversations in their consultations, into every consultation. I don't think I ever go and see the doctor and she doesn't ask me about, you know, my diet, my exercise, my alcohol consumption, you know, am I smoking? Never have I ever been asked about my sleep. Yet it is more fundamental, I believe, than any of those other things. So just by bringing sleep into the conversation, into every conversation, not every conversation, but into every consultation would be brilliant. And to educate themselves, you know, GPs need to be educated around sleep, and it's such a fast moving science, as you know. Like, I've been studying it for 20 years, and what I've learned in the last 5 years is mind blowing compared to what I learned 15, 20 years ago. Things are really, really shifting. I mean, even, you know, when we look at sleep duration versus sleep regularity, I used to be pushing sleep duration always, over anything. But now I'm going, don't throw it out, the baby out with the bathwater. It's still important, but sleep regularity is now, for me, and what I'm reading in the peer-reviewed quality journals, is regularity is really, really important. So they need to keep up to date with, with what's happening in that space, which is, again, it's a lot to put on their plate as a GP when they've got to cover so much else. So, educating themselves with people like yourself, Nishi, I think is a really, really important thing.
Well, Amanda, I think we could talk about sleep for hours. Thank you very much for sharing all of that knowledge. And we are actually presenting a workshop, you and I, along with two of our other sleep colleagues, on how to optimize sleep. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I love the name that we've sort of given ourselves, the Sleep Divas, and we all met last year. It was it's been 12 months. We all connected online, and we've had, I think, nearly a weekly conversation ever since. So Nisha, you're in San Francisco. I'm here in Perth in Western Australia. Val is in Honolulu in Hawaii. And Smita is in Chicago. So we're covering the globe. And we've been catching up each week and just having conversations about sleep and what we know, and sharing our ideas and our coaching practices. And then we jumped onto Clubhouse for a little bit, and we were helping people on Clubhouse with their sleep. And now we're looking at putting a workshop together. Well, not looking, we have planned a workshop. And we're going to be talking about sleep in your whole day. So when you wake up in the morning, the performance during the day, your evening routine, and what happens overnight. So everything from, looking at brain health and brain function and the importance of sleep, through to the importance of sunlight. So we're going to cover quite a bit. And Nishi, what have I missed? The date.
Yeah, so we are presenting this on November 10th. It is going to be a live workshop, and the link to sign up for the waitlist is going to be in the description under this video, and we'll also show it on the screen here. And yeah, I'm really excited. So there's going to be the four of us. So me, Dr. Nishi Bhopal, I'm a physician specializing in integrative psychiatry and sleep medicine. Amanda, our lovely sleep coach and registered nurse and sleep expert. And then we're also going to be joined by our other two colleagues, Dr. Smita Patel, who is a neurologist and board certified sleep specialist, and also Dr. Val Cacho, who is an internist and a board certified sleep specialist as well. So we are going to be sharing all of our favorite tips and tricks to help you get through your day and optimize your sleep and improve your energy. So that's happening November 10th. And we're super excited about that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And So Amanda, thanks again so much for being here and sharing this information with everyone. This has been a delight, and I would love to have you back on again to keep talking more about sleep and the circadian rhythm and all of our favorite topics. So in the meantime, where can people find you?
Thanks, Nishi. It's been an absolute pleasure. I always love, chatting with you about sleep. Sleep spot underscore is my Instagram handle. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm most active on Instagram though. Feel free to go and jump into my free resources. There's a link in my bio on Instagram.
Great. Well, thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Nishi. Have a great day.
You too.